Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph LaBella.
And I'm Ron Sen. Always a lot of goings and comings. We'll start off with Matt Kuchar on the PGA Tour. Why Matt Kuchar? Very popular and successful player. Career earnings of about $44 million. He won a tournament recently for $1.3 million and threw his caddy $5,000. And that was fine until it became public knowledge. Normally caddies, the regular caddies are paid around 10% of their earnings. So this, you don't have to be a math genius to know that 5,000 isn't 130,000. So once it became public, then Kuchar went into negotiations with the guy, and the word is he was going to pay him 50 grand.
He's actually a real good guy, Kuchar. I remember when he came out of college, his father was caddying him. He was a number one amateur player. I think when he played in the Masters, he ended up first as an amateur. Everybody really likes him. We went to Mexico. His normal caddy couldn't make it. He hadn't won in like 3.5 years or 4 years. So he made a deal with the caddy, $3,000 to caddy in that tournament. And so he wins it. So he gives him $5,000.
Right. I think he made it worse by saying, here's a guy who makes a couple $100 now and then, and $5,000 is really good for him. And then that just didn't square well with pretty much anybody.
But I look at it what I would have done, and I would have probably given him my regular caddy who's with me all the time. You give him 100,000. I would have probably given him 50,000.
Yeah. So
I mean, anybody would have given him at least 50. With all the money he makes, even though he hasn't won in 4 years.
Well, neither of us will ever have to worry about seeing that kind of money.
Yeah.
Well, we won't have Manny Machado to kick around anymore. Poor Manny had to settle for a measly $300 million to go to San Diego and have to suffer in all that nice weather.
And he has an out after 5 years, right?
Oh, I didn't know about that.
But number one, he isn't worth $20 million for 4 years. You got a guy there that's, he's not all there. He's a pain in the neck. He doesn't hustle out all ground balls. He's had problems with other players. And to give him, he's not really clutch. And to give him $30 million a year for 10 years.
Well, that's what I said to my son. He said, he says, you old people, you're just concerned about too much money given to the players. I said, no, if you get too much money, that's not a problem. It's just, I don't think he's the player that you want to pay that kind of money to because he's not a hustler. He said it, I'm not Johnny Hustle. Well, if you're getting $30 million a year, you should be Johnny Hustle.
If he's getting $30 million a year for 10 years, Betts and Trout should get $50 million a year for 10 years. Both of them. If you're going to give someone like Machado, he'll be a 280 hitter with 20-something to
30 homers. He might
20,
get it.
30 home runs. And what is he going to do for your team? You're San Diego. You want to build around the young players. Then if you get to a point, then maybe you want to get a good free agent. But not this guy.
Well, in sadder news, however, longtime Boston Globe baseball sports writer Nick Cafardo had sudden death today at Fort Myers at the park. So I haven't heard exactly that people were talking about a, quote, embolism. I don't know if they meant a pulmonary embolism or a stroke, but Cafardo had a very popular Sunday column where he covered the entire major leagues. Would have a lot of good information about potential trades, and he was a good sports writer. He kind of rankled me a little bit. He always talked about Jacoby Ellsbury every week in the column. He was a big Ellsbury guy, but supposedly a really nice guy. Leaves behind a wife and a couple of kids, and it's a big loss for the Globe.
Yeah, I always liked him. Never out of place, really nice. Never knocked people, really knocked them. No, it was funny. I put on WEI because I heard about it from my son-in-law. So I put on WEI. They're not even talking about it. I put on 98.5. They're not talking about it. That's amazing because they're there.
Right, they're their, peers.
But then before I came here, I put on NBC Sports, and they're not talking about it. And it happened right there.
Well, hard to understand in that, he certainly was a very popular writer, which brings up to the subject of, longtime sports writers and the kind of influence they have. the ones that immediately come to mind, of course, would be Peter Gammons, who was the dean of the baseball scene for a long time in Boston, and he had the stroke a few years ago. Dan Shaughnessy, who is kind of the king of mean as far as his columns, and Bob Ryan, who's really more of a basketball guy, but writes about everything. But my favorite writer in the Globe right now is Chris Gasper. I think he blends current events he uses a lot of statistics and analytics to support his positions as well. But obviously younger people don't even read newspapers anymore, so they're not really missing out on that. But fans of the Cafardo column on Sunday will miss that, and it'll be interesting to see who steps into that position, because it means a lot of traveling, and obviously to have those sorts of positions, you need to have a lot of contacts. Remember how Will McDonough did the Sunday Patriots column for a long time.
And he was known throughout baseball too. I mean, everybody liked him. Just
right.
a terrific guy. And that's a shame. But so do you get the Herald too, or just the Globe?
No, just get the Globe. Now, some interesting issues came about this week with the MIAA is now going to switch from NCAA rules to National Federation of High School rules for high school sports. And about 90% of high school referees in Massachusetts said there's no way that that's going to happen as far as they're concerned, because there's no way they feel they can make the switch in 7 months, learning all the rules and being able to not only know the rules but apply them instantly relative to what they've been doing.
For what sport?
It's going to be for all sports. The MIAA, apparently Massachusetts and Texas were the only states that were following NCAA rules instead of NFHS rules. For example, in baseball, for high school baseball, there's now going to be a pitch count. You can pitch 75 to 105 pitches in a game, and then you'd have to have 4 days off. And I can tell you from a career from 40-something years ago, I was way over 105 pitches a bunch of times.
75 to 105?
And then you need 4 days off. So that'll be a big change for the baseball programs. And they said there are 200 rule differences between football, NCAA, and NFHS. So I have no idea what all the different. One of the rules was that there's 40 seconds between plays. I think now it's either 25 or 30. So. But one of the other rules is you can't block below the waist at all. So the argument is that the NFHS rules promote more player safety than the NCAA rules. I don't know enough about it, but there's going to be a lot of discussion about that between now and the football season, because the plan is to introduce those rules at the beginning of the football season. And obviously the officials, 75% of the officials said they just wouldn't officiate if that's I thought that's what the number was. They wouldn't officiate. So that'll be a big change.
I think tackling too you shouldn't be able to tackle below the knees either, or at the knees. It should all be above the knees, because that's dangerous, especially for ends or backs, especially ends who get blindsided, like tight end like Gronk.
Well, right. You always have this
right
feeling that the uniform of the future, there's going to be kind of a strike zone where you can tackle between here and the thighs, so that you're less likely to get the person's knees or introduce concussions. So, obviously everybody wants to make sports safer, but it's hard to make a sport like football a lot safer. Bruins made a big trade. It seems like the sports writers who may be carrying water for the Bruins ownership are really on board with this trade of Coyle, who I don't know enough about the guy to know whether he's a lot better than Donato. And Donato, who the argument is he's not tough enough in the corners. Well, it seems like the NHL is trying to go into a more wide open style, and you need guys who can score from in front of the net instead of dig it out from the corners.
Well, Donato is a potential 25, 30 goal scorer playing all the time on another team. So they're going to be looking at that. A young player, skates well, really not tough right now, but he's going to mature. He's very young, and he's a sniper, and I think he's better off playing on another team.
Oh, I think it'll be good for him.
they're high on this guy because this guy hits, can score, could maybe center the third line. You know, maybe the second line he'll play right wing. They're not sure yet.
Well, it seems the Bruins have played really well. They've won 7 in a row. They've had a successful West Coast trip. They've done this without Pasternak, who, you know, he was at some kind of celebration party, whatever, and tripped on the way out. You know, draw your own conclusions. You know, I'm not saying he was falling down drunk, but he likely had a couple, I would guess.
I mean, they're playing very good hockey right now. Since the Patriots won it in, I just heard that today, in 17. Yeah, they won in 19, they won in 17. They won in 15 too.
Right.
3 out of the Bruins have the second best record in all of hockey since
Wow.
that time.
That's really interesting. Well, right now, obviously, Tampa Bay is really strong in leading the Eastern, and then Toronto's really good. So it's hard to see that getting a third-line center is going to put the Bruins over the top. I think most Bruins fans are concerned that Rask is not the big-game goalie that's going to be able to take them to the promised land.
Well, if they stay healthy, I mean, they're going to end up strong like they did last year, but the playoffs are another story. Then they have this stupid setup in playoffs. Even if you have a better record, you're playing a team tougher than the team below you.
Yeah, it's the top 3. It's crazy.
But I hope they beat out Toronto. That's going to be big. They're going to have to, come right behind Tampa Bay, and maybe they'll get an easy team in the first round. But you don't know the way this whole setup is. But I like the way they're playing. I like watching them.
Well, and then the big talk in sports today really was about a player who many of you may not even know, but played for Duke, Zion Williamson, who literally exploded through his sneaker, and it's been variously reported he ruptured an Achilles tendon, that he hurt his knee. I don't think we really know what happened to him. There's one faction that says he never should have been playing for Duke anyway, should have been playing pro overseas somewhere, getting ready for the NBA. The only people that made any money this year were everybody at Duke. Supposedly tickets for the Duke-UNC game last night were going for over $2,000 a piece.
The cheapest, they said.
And
that's unbelievable. Some are going for $5,000, $6,000.
I can't imagine, but Williamson got hurt 36 seconds into the game. Duke had an emotional letdown. My colleagues online, who are a lot of coaches, basically said that worst game Coach K ever coached, and Duke couldn't throw it in the ocean they just couldn't make anything from the three-point line.
Yeah, then I heard it's a slight strain,
Okay.
knee strain. That's what I heard today.
Well, that'd be better.
But how about Nike? That's the second player now where his sneaker exploded on him. So, I mean, that's not good for Nike, that's for sure.
No. And, Williamson presumably is going to be the number 1 pick. I don't know if the back when Patrick Ewing got lottery picked by the Knicks, the story was that the envelope that the Knicks were picking was in the freezer, so that when they reached in, it was the one that was cold. And I don't know if that's true or not. Can you imagine the NBA wanting to have a strong team in New York?
That can't happen.
But that's what the rumor was or has been, and the Knicks are in prime position to pick first again. So obviously, depending on what the lottery results are. So, and the talk was that Williamson was going to the Knicks. So
Yeah, if they got the number 1 pick.
if they got the number 1
that's going to
pick.
be kind of tough. And we know what else is going on too, but with basketball. We know with Kyrie and Durant.
Right. There's all this talk about Kyrie and Durant wanting to form their own super team, and where they would go, where the cap money is, and I don't know. So we'll find out. That's why the Celtics didn't get rid of Rozier.
No, that's a big reason why they didn't.
So it's impossible to really know. And Kyrie's other interests, filmmaking, and the problem is if he's someplace with Durant, he's not going to be just the man. So
No, you don't know what he's thinking, what Kyrie's thinking. I mean, I know what's going on in his head. He wants to be the man. I've been at games, I've watched him play. It's all about him. It's not about the team. So I really don't care what he does, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I at this point, there's been a lot of rumors that Tatum has said that he'd be happy to go to another team so he could be the man. Everybody wants to be the man. It's understandable. That's where the shots are. That's where the money is. That's where the perks are.
But, I mean, you look at the situation. I mean, the superstars in basketball run the league. Everybody knows that. And it's getting ridiculous because, I said when we were talking, I was talking with friends of mine, and I said before the trade deadline they should have got rid of Kyrie. I said, why don't they try to go to a team like San Antonio and try to get DeRozan for Kyrie? I mean, you're not going to have and San Antonio might go for it. Maybe Kyrie likes Popovich. Who knows? And maybe he liked playing with them. But you would think that San Antonio would have a shot with Kyrie playing point on that team. And the Celtics would get a guy like DeRozan. I know DeRozan's not a point guard, but he's a scorer. They have a lot of scorers, but if they were going to make a move for Davis, who knows if Davis would come, unless Kyrie was there. But I would have made the move because in life, you don't want anybody that doesn't respect you.
Well, the other
and he
thing
doesn't
is,
respect the fans. He doesn't respect the Celtics. All he respects is himself and no one else.
well, you want people on your team that are happy to be on your team in the long run. And certainly you don't necessarily get that feeling that he's overwhelmingly happy here, although he should be able to get the most money here.
Here's the best way to describe him. He gets mad at Hayward. Hayward, an all-star, about all last year, who may be a better team player than Kyrie is, healthy. I saw him 2 years ago when he played against Golden State in the playoffs. And he was one of the best players, including the Golden State players. Played really good against Durant. I saw that. Now he's out all last year. Because he didn't get him the ball, because he's waiting all day to make his move, number one, and Tatum came open, he gets on Hayward. If I was Hayward, I would have got right in his face and told him to back off. That's one reason. The second one, I'm at the LA Laker game. He knew it was a national televised game. Everybody's at the Garden. They're going nuts. He thought it was all about him. He blew the game. He stunk in the game. Didn't want to count on anybody else, wanted to take the big shots. And he always wants to take the big shots. You remember him last year before he got hurt? The one thing I would say, he doesn't care about the other players. He wants to take every big shot. I mean, he's talented as anything, but I don't want to root for a guy like him.
Well, you need the big stars to take the big shots. There's a terrific article in The Onion, the sports version, the satirical website, and it's a bit profane in the title, but basically they're saying Silver, the NBA chief exec, says, send me your list of the 3 teams you want to play for, and I'll see if I can get you there. And then he says, but everybody can't go to Golden State. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We'll talk our Hakuna Matata Celtics talk. Everyone is happy. Danny Ainge says that right now there's an engagement but no marriage. There's no marriage until after July 1st. Well, just because Danny comes from Utah where everyone's happy in life, it doesn't mean it's going to be happy in Boston.
No, I mean, I can get over it. I mean, I'm really upset at Kyrie now. You look at him. He missed 6 out of the Celtics' last 10 or 11 games. Missed the games. One time he said his shoulder was a little sore. The other time his hip was a little sore, so he didn't go to Cleveland. But they knew that he knew that the Celtics were going to be playing the Lakers and the Clippers that weekend at the Garden. So he doesn't go, why go to Cleveland? He could have went there and played. So he goes against the Lakers, tries to run the whole show against the Lakers. It was a disgrace. He knew he was on national TV. But, I mean, I could get over it if he plays really good. And just like I got over Brady for not going to the practices in the summertime, and Gronk, putting on a show. Now, you watch how they played, and so I can get over all that if he ends up signing with the Celtics and he ends up playing the way I hope he can play, average of 12 assists a game, which he could easily, 10 to 12, get everybody involved, and stop knocking the younger players.
Well, the good news is they played a little bit better before the All-Star break. Gordon Hayward is coming along. He's got his production higher. He's making a lot more shots. If you watch the games, you see that he's taking the ball into the paint, whereas he wasn't willing to take the ball into the paint early in the season. And hopefully they get Baines back soon, because Baines is really important to that team, because when they go up against teams with strong rebounding, they're really suffering because they're just not getting enough rebounds.
Oh, Embiid hates playing against them. But you know the guy that's playing the best? You know, Kyrie's the best player. All right, he's the best, talent-wise, the best player on the team, talent-wise. But Tatum is not the second best player. Tatum's the fourth best player on that team right now. Hayward's a better player than Tatum. And Horford's playing better than Tatum. Horford's having a tremendous season.
Yeah, Tatum, to me, he's not all in on defense. You know, he has the ability to be a good defensive player, but he doesn't always have the commitment. Probably because typical young NBA star, you get paid to score points, not to stop other teams from scoring points.
You know, people have told him that too. You want the money, get your average, keep your average up, and all that. And you know, I was a big Tatum fan last year. You know, I love Tatum. You know, the way he played, I was a big Brown fan. But when they say Tatum's the second best player, second option, he's not. The second option is Hayward on that team. Hayward should, I'm hoping that Stevens realizes it now. Hayward should be starting. He started last game because Smart and Morris were out. So he got the start. Or one of them was out. I think Morris was out.
Yeah, Morris has been injured a little bit more, and his play has trailed off a little bit. And fortunately, Hayward's playing better. People say you can't have too many good players. Well, you really can't have too many good players because there's just not enough minutes to make them all happy.
But, you know, eventually when the playoffs come, you know, it should be Hayward playing 35 minutes a game. He should, you know, especially if he keeps going in the right direction, because he understands the game. He understands how to break down a defense, how to pass the ball, finish at the basket, hit the open shot. And if he, you know, he's getting back to where he was. He's playing really good ball. He's going strong to the basket. Again, let him play 35 minutes. Get him. It's a shame he's out for tonight's game. He sprained his ankle, working out with Ojale. But he is in, you know, the thing about Tatum, he doesn't play good defense, like you said. He never passes the ball. The only time he'll pass the ball is if he doesn't have a shot. You know, so that's why right now when people say he's the second best player, he's not. Right now, he's the fourth best player. He's with the potential to be a superstar.
Horford, when healthy, is so important to that team because he's such a good distributor.
And he's shooting the ball good.
Yeah, he has shot the ball well.
He has really been...
Not just threes, mid-range shots. He's really good.
I would say with Kyrie out, he's been the best player. I mean, they've got players all around. I mean, Morris has good games, Brown, Tatum. They have a lot of talented players. But, you know, the thing, you know, that everybody worries about is Kyrie. Well, if Kyrie goes, they're going to have to keep Rozier. They're going to have to sign Rozier. But I think if Kyrie does go, they should forget about Davis. Let these young players mature. You still have Hayward. You still have Horford. And get a guard somehow. With either your draft picks, they have a few draft picks, or a free agent. Get a guy who can play defense, hit the open shot, and really move the ball around. He doesn't have to be a superstar. Just keep everybody involved, but able to hit the open shot and play D.
Well, there's a paucity of people who want to pass anymore. Maybe like I know you really like Ball a lot. Maybe Ball on the right team who's willing to pass, and in fact looks to pass over shooting, he might be good. I mean, I can't see the Celtics making any kind of deal with the Lakers, but I don't think Ball's, he's been hurt a lot, and he hasn't been very productive when he plays.
Ball would be tremendous on the Celtics. I mean, healthy-wise.
Yeah.
He'd be tremendous. With those players, he would be unbelievable, and they would love playing with him. I know Brown. People are saying, well, Brown doesn't pass the ball to Hayward. Brown loves playing with Hayward because Hayward passes him the ball. He knows when Rozier has the ball, this dribble, jump shot, or if he doesn't have, he's not able to get a shot off, he'll pass. He knows when Tatum gets the ball, forget about it. Tatum's going to shoot. He knows when Morris gets the ball, forget about it, because Morris is going to shoot. The only one on that team besides Kyrie.
Well, Marcus Smart will pass.
Yeah, but Marcus Smart doesn't fit that offense. You know my feeling about him. He should be a backup. Put him on if a guy's hot, bring him in the game, play defense. shouldn't play more than 20 minutes a game. Not on that team. He shouldn't take minutes away from Brown, Haywood, or Tatum. He's not good enough. You know, people love him when he's playing really good. I mean, I've seen so many games when he's out there. He's 2 for 8. I know he was hitting the 3. He had a good stretch.
Well, he had a good stretch, but then he went 0 for 18.
But Ron, he doesn't fit that offense. He doesn't fit the offense. Watch him. Sometimes he's in a fog. You know, make a pass like this. He's looking there, a bounce pass. It'll hit somebody in the knee. And then the other day when he took those 2 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, you know, he missed one. When he should have realized the first one he missed was just caught the rim. So then he gets the ball back and shoots it again. A lot of them do that. The second one hit the rim. He just wasn't on that day. But he doesn't understand when he's not on. So let's go 2 for 10, 2 for 11. He just doesn't fit. When they look the best is when, believe it or not, Rozier's out on the floor, who I'm getting upset about because he doesn't look the pass. When Rozier's on the floor with Haywood, say Brown, Horford, maybe Tatum, or someone else, even Morris out there, they move the ball a lot better.
Well, when they're playing well, they get high 20s or low 30s in assists. And when they're not, it's down around 20 because they got a lot of guys who are ball-centric, as you said, who you know, especially Morris, Rozier, and Tatum, they just don't look to pass at all.
But you know what's funny? We were talking about that, and then people are looking at me like, wow, you're right. I said, you watch every game? They go, yeah. Okay. I said, how many times have you seen altogether Morris, Rozier, Brown, and Tatum? How many times have you seen them make a good pass? You can put all 4 of them together. Tell me how many great passes you've seen from the 4 of them. And they're thinking and thinking and thinking. And the best pass Morris made was when he penetrated and dished to Haywood for a 3. But that's one time. But just think about it. I watch all the games. How many times have you seen those 4 players make a good pass?
Yeah, it's
probably 5 times all year.
well, my coach, again, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, Sonny Lane, who was the athletic director at Melrose for a long time, said the 2 statistics that he valued most to identify how a team was playing were assists and rebounds. Now, obviously, if you're getting a lot of assists, you're getting open shots because that's where assists usually come into play. And if you're getting rebounds, you have possession. And you cannot be successful without possession of the basketball. So I think that's a good guideline, assists and rebounds.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I loved when I played passing the ball. I could care less about scoring. I loved getting the ball to someone, making a nice penetrate dish. And you know, I wasn't a good player, but I loved passing. And you look nowadays, how many guys really appreciate passing, really care?
Right. The guys that you look back through the years, John Stockton especially with Utah, passing to Karl Malone. Oh, Pete Maravich.
Nash.
Yeah, Nash.
Oh, Maravich.
Yeah. Magic Johnson, great passer.
That's why I like ball. Who else?
Yeah.
How many guys in the NBA that really can break down a defense and dish the ball and get the ball? Playing with ball, those Celtics, Brown and them and Tatum, every one of them, they'd be cutting, they'd be moving open spots. You don't see that in the Celtics offense. It's all one-on-one.
Right. The new style of basketball is the scoring point guard, which that's fine if you're if that's the style you're going to play. But at other levels of basketball, that's not necessarily going to get you championships.
But the one thing about the Celtics, though, even if Kyrie leaves, you know, they still may make the finals this year. Who knows if they take? You know, they got a big game tonight. They get Toronto. You don't know. But even if Kyrie leaves, they got to get that guard. They got to get one more guard with the team they have now, and they'll be battling. Milwaukee's strong now in Toronto, but Leonard's leaving. If he goes to L.A., now you got Milwaukee. You know, how are they going to sign all those players now? But, you know, that's the big thing. Get that guard. You don't need a superstar guard. They're still going to be very competitive. You know, as a basketball fan, the thing that makes me sick of people that say, oh, if you don't win a title, it's been a bad season. Well, they thought they had a chance this year, but I go to a lot of the games. I want to see a good team. I want to see a team that hustles, plays great defense, gets the fans excited. You know, that's what I want. I mean, I'd love to see them win a championship, but that's not the big thing for me. You want a team to be competitive, and you want them to entertain you.
Well, it's pretty hard to see anybody beating Golden State this year.
I don't know. I think a team from the East, whoever wins in the East, could give them a battle.
Well, the one area that Golden State tends to, they're not really great at rebounding. Now, who do you like better, Toronto or Milwaukee?
I think Milwaukee. They're going to be tough. Tonight's going to be a good.
Milwaukee's really developed an offense where they can really score on the perimeter.
And they picked up another shooter.
Right, and then you have Antetokounmpo, who's ridiculous. I mean, the guy is just ridiculous.
You know, and Kyrie's going to be huge against both those teams because he's going to want to beat them. You know, so, but look at their last 14 games run when people say they won 9 out of 10 going into the Laker game. The game they lost was the Golden State game, and that's when Kyrie hit 4 threes in the second quarter in a row. Celtics were ahead. No one was covering them. They had a mental breakdown, the Celtics, in that game. So
Curry hit 4 in a row.
Curry. Yeah, when Curry hit 4 in a row. And then now they've won 9 out of 10 to go against the Lakers.
They're ahead 18 against the Lakers.
And the Lakers hit 8 out of 8 3-pointers in a row. They're not playing good
they
D.
didn't cover anybody.
And then the Clippers are ahead by 28. But you look at all those games. I know it's if, but they won 9 out of 10. They don't blow those 2 games to the Lakers and the Clippers.
Right.
They win their last 2.
Right. They could have won the games any time. So, you know, it's easy to second guess. But the bottom line is you're not going to win that many games when you're giving up 125 points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
129 in one of the games.
Well, I know. You have nobody to blame except yourself if
game.
you're giving up that many points.
Yeah.
So, you know, well, we could switch gears a little bit and look at high school sports. Now, Melrose had a tremendous run this winter where both the boys and girls hockey and basketball teams go into the playoffs.
They all made it.
The boys were in the top 15 of the hockey rankings, and then they ran into a cold stretch, losing to Burlington and Xaverian. You were at the Burlington game. What was your observation there?
Yeah, that was a tough loss. I mean, that's the first game I did because Billy Allen couldn't make it. You know, Billy does a great job. I mean, I was really getting into the game. They both came out skating, hitting. You know, there was a lot of, you know, roughing calls. I mean, whatever that call is, I think, yeah. So they get a power play, Melrose. They have 3 great opportunities. They can't score. With 8 seconds to go, they get a penalty. Well, they score right away, Burlington. They go up 1-0. Then they get another power play. And the kid takes a shot, and it hits the goalie right in the chest and goes in. It was a lucky goal. They go up 2-0. Second period, Melrose comes out and scores the first goal. And it was a great goal. And now they're back in the game. Now I'm really getting into it because they're going up and down. So then Burlington, towards the end of the second period, they make it 3-1. And then Melrose comes back, makes it 3-2. Melrose is playing great hockey. At the end of the second period, 2 of the Melrose top players and 2 of the top players from Burlington, they get a matching penalty. So 2-minute penalty for all 4 players. But
so
they also get
3-on-3?
No.
Oh.
So they also get, they keep 5-on-5, but they have to sit in the penalty box. But then they also get a 10-minute misconduct. So now they're out for the third period, 12 minutes out of the 15. And by far the best player on the ice that night was Senior from Melrose. He's playing unbelievable, skating up and down the ice, involved in everything. And one of their second best players had to sit out too for 12. And it really killed them in that third period because what Burlington did is every time they got the puck, they just shot it in the Melrose end. You know, they kept everybody back. Melrose couldn't get any breakaways, and then ended up 3-2.
Well, the boys are at 12-3-5, and they play Masco later this week.
Masco's good too.
Right, and so the boys should be, you know, one of the better seeds. Obviously, they're not going to make the play-in round to get into the Super 8.
Yeah, they can't play in that anyway.
Yeah, it's
not good
you know,
enough.
most of the teams in the Super 8 are private Catholic schools that find players somewhere. You know, we don't want to use the R word. The girls ended up winning the Freedom Division, and they are 14-4-2, so they should have a really good seed in the tournament.
We saw the last period of the girls' game.
Okay.
And boy, do they look good. It's unbelievable, the talent. They have Crovo. I think it's Emily Crovo. It's Crovo. She's a 10th grader, I believe, or a 9th grader. She's either a freshman or a sophomore. It looks tremendous. Then they have some big girls, say about 5'10", 5'11", that, they're strong players. And I know one of them was a senior, but they have 2 sophomores that are real strong skaters. They got a lot of talent coming back next year, too.
Well, Austin Prep is 19-0.
They have that goalie from Melrose,
Yeah,
right?
Hannah Avini, who played for Melrose when she was an 8th grader, and then somehow found her way up to Austin Prep, which is so often that young talented players find their way into private Catholic schools. Boys basketball is 10-8. They're getting into the postseason. The girls finished 16-3, and presumably they are going to be the 3rd seed in Division II North. So they'll have an excellent chance. Probably on the same side of the bracket, likely is going to be Tewksbury at 2, and then Pentucket, who won the Division II North last year, it will be the 1st seed. And then in wrestling, there have been a lot of tournaments lately. Melrose did really well in the States. They have 2 players who won in Division III. Hunter Adrian won the state championship in the division division championship 3rd year in a row. Sean Herbert also won his, and both of them are seeded 1st in the all states. Last year, Adrian finished 4th in the country when he went to the nationals. So,
wow.
Really super strong wrestling program. And then girls gymnastics always does really well, and I think that's about it. Girls track were league champions as well. So Melrose had an outstanding winter season. We don't have the all sports record, but Melrose probably moving up on the season thanks to the strength of their women's sports. The girls really played well down the stretch. They pretty much beat everybody.
Basketball team?
Right, closing out the season. They've got a lot of senior experience. They've got Sam Dewey, one of the top inside players in the league. Belmont won the Liberty division, and they're
Did they lose 2 games recently?
Yeah, they lost to Cathedral, who plays a national schedule, and so they're a really super strong team. I'm not sure who the other game they lost to was, but
they're not great. I mean, really, you don't see. I mean, the old Melrose teams. It's funny. You look at the old Melrose teams, the talent they had, they would blow through these leagues. The old Melrose teams. It's something. It's just different nowadays.
Well, I think some players get spirited away to private.
That's probably what happens.
Systems. You got kids playing at private schools up in Maine and New Hampshire. I remember that player we saw a few years ago from Haverhill that was going up to play in New Hampshire somewhere. The girl looked like Paul Pierce as an 8th grader.
But you don't get I mean, you talk about the talent, the Kerwins, the Copelands, the Pettys, the Matos, your daughters. I mean, you don't get I don't see that talent like it used to be. It's good talent, but I mean, you look at the talent now. Belmont, to me, wasn't a strong. They're a very good team, but they're not a powerhouse. And you saw they lost the last 2 games.
Well, and Braintree, that somehow had 4 losses, ended winning the Comcast tournament. Yeah. So McDonald must be doing a great job down there again. And we've seen their youth teams in the past. They're always terrific.
And then the teams when Hannah Brickley and Colleen Hanscom, that team.
We'll be right back. Well, you can be sure about the National Football League that they would like to be a 365-day-a-year enterprise. And here we are talking about Odell Beckham Jr. possibly coming to the Patriots. All they have to give up is 2 first-round draft choices and Tom Brady's oldest child.
Forget about Beckham. They should sign Amendola again, and then try to get a speed end in the draft. They have so many picks.
There's no way they're paying $17 million a year for a wide receiver.
No, I mean, they're not going to pay that for him. They're not going to pay Brown. It's just Brown had a really good year. Too bad he didn't have another year in his contract. And they're not going to sign Flowers.
Oh, you think they won't sign Flowers?
No, I mean, we're going to give him $14 million.
I don't
They're
know.
not going to sign him. They're going to bring Gronk back. You have to bring Gronk back.
At less money?
No, you got to give him. I hope they give him maybe they'll give him $7 million with incentives. I think he'll take that, but you can't cut him. Like people saying they may cut him to 5 or 6, then he'll say forget about it.
Right. We'll make movies.
But he's the man. I mean, you got Brady, of course. Brady. Brady's
Well, they're going to
the big
extend
name.
Brady so they can try to lower his cap number.
Yeah, but it's Brady number 1 and Gronk 2 and Edelman 3. I mean, that's the way it goes on that team. They're all 3 of them are the face of the team. And you have Gronk back, even if he slipped a little, he's still a great blocker, still going to come up with big catches, and just his presence alone.
Well, it's just as whether he can take the beating that he has to take. Is it worth it to him?
He's coming back because he's working out with them now. He's been going to Gillette Stadium every day working
Right.
out.
Well, he likes to work out.
But I want to see him come back. I mean,
Well, I want to see him do what's best for him, whatever that is. I mean, he's got an enviable life. He's got a ton of money. He's got a model girlfriend who, I presume he's been with her for a while, so that must be serious. Good for him.
he wants another Super Bowl, he said at the parade. He says, I want one more Super Bowl. You got to think, Brady's got 2 more years. You don't think Brady's talking to him, sign a 2-year contract now?
Oh, gosh.
2 more years, we might be able to win 2 more. Are they going to be able to, what I hope they can do is sign Flowers, but I don't think they're going to, because what are they going to do with, some of those backs, defensive backs?
Well, I think Flowers is the guy they need to sign.
McCourty's making $10 million.
Right.
They're going to cut him. Is he going to stay?
Right. He and his brother, he talked about retiring, probably because he doesn't want to take a pay cut, which he'd have to take. They need to get younger at safety. Harmon is the youngest one, and he's 28, not counting guys like Ebner, who are special teams guys.
Well, they'll have Chung coming back next year, Harmon. I can't see McCourty leaving. I don't think they're going to sign Jason McCourty because I don't know what type of money he wants. Plus, you got Dawson, the number 2 pick, who was
Right.
injured, didn't play it down.
Yeah, people
You
basically.
got Jackson.
Dawson was hurt, and people are saying that he was their red shirt for the year. People are really high on Dawson, really scrappy, aggressive, probably slot corner.
So you figure, you have Jackson and Gilmore starting corners. You got Jones. You'll have Dawson.
Yeah, so they're good.
And Rowe. Isn't Rowe still with the team? He was injured.
He might be a free agent.
And what do you do with Hightower? But Hightower's not that much on the salary cap.
Well, I think he's around 10.
Is he up to 10?
Yeah, so I think that it would be good if they could negotiate Hightower down. I mean, when he's healthy, he's terrific.
He played great the second half of the year.
Right.
Him and Van Noy were as good as any linebackers.
I know, and we certainly talked about how that was going to be a weak spot. And even Roberts was better. He didn't take
How
so
about
many
that guy
bad
that got
angles.
injured, the rookie? Is it Bentley?
Oh, Juwan Bentley.
Bentley's got a lot of talent.
So
Who's this guy Simon?
he's the guy they picked up free agent as a defensive end.
He helped them a lot.
Yeah, so he's a free agent too.
And Guy came on strong in the playoffs.
Right, he's still got another year, I think, on his contract. But they've got 6 picks in the top 100, and then after they trade down, they'll have like 8 picks in the top 100.
But you have 6 picks in the top 100. Then you have Wynn coming back, who's a first-round draft pick that didn't play it down. You have Dawson coming back, who's a second-round draft pick who didn't play it down. You have Bentley coming back at linebacker. So you're looking at these players, and then whoever else they sign as a free agent. They can win it again next year
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
have, obviously not counting their draft, but they've got $17 million and plus in cap money, which is in the bottom third. So they're not like the Jets and the 49ers who have tons of cap room. But if you have tons of cap room, it's because it means you have no players and you're a bad team.
What offensive player who's a free agent, he's not a lineman, would you love to see them sign?
Offensive free agent,
He's not a lineman,
not a
but he's
line.
like an X factor out there when he plays. I mean, I like his game, and I think if Brady comes and works with him in the summer a little,
Golden Tate?
Patterson. For
for
the
their
Patriots.
own team, yeah. No, Patterson had a good year.
I mean, I think this guy he could be a great running back.
He's a tough guy. He's a really tough guy. You see the way he hit the holes as a running back?
Unbelievable.
He's,
and then
he's fearless.
Around the ends, he always gets about 4 or 5 extra yards. My feeling is, well, people think that he doesn't have real good hands, but he made 2 of the better catches this year.
Yeah, he caught one real near the ground.
And then the Miami game on his fingertips, that bullet that Brady threw down the middle for a touchdown. And you look at him. If Brady works with him this summer, and another guy is Dorsett, but he's a free agent. If Brady worked with both of those guys, I mean, they would really be helpful next year.
Well, the big X factor is always going to be Brady, because if you get, God forbid, you ever had backup quarterback, Hoyer is not good.
Well, they're talking about that quarterback from Duke, that they may go after him.
Okay.
They think that he might go. Who's the guy that the expert? He's always, mock drafts.
Kuiper.
He said that he has the Patriots picking him, but word is he might go a little earlier than that. But the Pats might move up. I think they're going to go after him as their first pick. I mean, who else do they need besides the 2 positions is a tight end,
and
a split end.
Well,
and then a safety. But with all those picks you have, they'll pick up a safety in the 3rd round or something.
Well, you never know what they're going to do. It wouldn't surprise you if they drafted a pass rusher.
Stay away from those Stanford strong safeties like Richards.
Oh gosh.
But what I really loved is when Lewis knocked the Patriots after Tennessee beat them. Lewis and Butler wasn't bad, but Lewis was really bad, saying they're weak-minded and all that when they get in a tough situation. I wonder what he was saying after they won the Super Bowl.
The Patriots are always going to try to save a buck. They want a strong middle of the roster, guys that aren't all superstars but are very productive players. And depth is everything in the NFL, and the Patriots have been able to do that. Have you watched any of the Alliance of American Football?
No.
It's okay.
You like it?
I don't know any of the players. That's you want to watch the players.
I watched 2 minutes of it, and it looked like they had a lot of fans the game I was watching.
Yeah, I just watched a little, but if you need some off-season football, it satisfies the football Jones. Now, spring training. We'll talk first a little bit about your Yankees, since they signed Severino for pretty reasonable
Unbelievable money.
4 years, $40 million. That's
unbelievable.
That's not a big deal nowadays.
But he wasn't a free agent anyway. But
no,
that was a good move by them.
They're talking about the players want to get all the money up front because they think there's going to be a strike. I don't know which year the contract runs out.
But they think it's going to be a strike because Machado wasn't getting his money. Harper's looking for $35 million. I mean, he hit $240 last year.
Yeah.
What are they thinking about?
And he plays 120 games a year.
There should be a rule that you can't give more than a 5-year contract. That should be the rule.
Well, if you're under 30, they're going to pay you more. Then, for example, it'll be really interesting to see what the Red Sox try to do with Sale. I don't think his arm's going to hold up because it's not holding up at the end of the season, and that's when you need guys to be productive in the postseason.
Well, he's got this 1 year left in his contract, right?
He's in the last year of his contract, and we'll see how it goes.
Him and Bogart too.
And Porcello's in the last year of his contract.
I heard he's going to be going. They're not going to sign him again. That's the word, because it's too much money.
All right, so if you had to project who's most likely to overachieve of the Red Sox starters, it's kind of easy, I think.
Overachieve?
Overachieve.
No, they got Evaldi, I imagine.
I'm thinking Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, he's always injured.
Well,
There's something going on with him all the time.
His knee is hopefully all right. He was 13-5 with a 3.83 ERA last year, and they're saying that he developed a slider that's a real slider.
But you look at Evaldi, though. I mean, look at what he did with the Red Sox. But before all that,
right, he was a 500 pitcher before that, so it's hard to project that he's going to be the same guy as he was last year.
So does he have a chance to go like 18-10? Yeah.
Yeah, he could.
He has a chance.
If you're never going to get guys winning 25 games because you don't get enough starts anymore.
But it's very easy to see what the Red Sox fans are going to be so upset halfway through the year when they see how many games the Red Sox are going to blow because of the bullpen.
Well, they're not going to win as many games as they won last year.
I don't know what they're thinking about because the Yankees going to run away from them if they don't get a closer. They're going to blow so many games, and the fans are going to get so frustrated. They're going to get upset at the management because they didn't get a closer. You even have Cora saying we don't need it. We have it right in the system. You know, and I mean, what are they thinking about? They don't have a closer on that team.
You know, if you don't have a closer, then everybody's going to say we don't need a closer. We already have enough talent, because that's the company line. You know, like bullpen by committee that they tried to do when was that Duquette was here? I mean, so that you always want to talk. Like, I'm sure if we listened to Bruins talk today, we'd be hearing about how great Charlie Coyle is, 10 goals, 16 assists. Like, that's not so great. It's just, you have to talk the company line.
They're going to luck out again, though. They're going to end up getting a closer somehow.
Yeah, they probably will.
I mean, they're over here delaying it, thinking they can go into the season without a closer, but they forget about.
They might trade somebody like Vasquez for a closer. I mean,
well, who kind of closer they can get for Vasquez?
No, I mean for a reliever, and then hope. You know, Alex Spire, the Globe analytics writer, wrote a big article looking at the predictability of wins above replacement for relievers, and he basically said, looking back over years, you can't predict how a relief pitcher is going to do year to year, these free agent guys. You just can't. I mean, the Yankees have Chapman, he's outstanding. Bataan says he's outstanding. They got who's the lefty, the Orioles guy?
Britton.
Yeah, Britton, he was coming off injury.
And that other guy, really the other guy they got from Cleveland that was injured last year, throws the ball 99 miles an hour.
They got Ottavino.
Yeah, they got him.
So they got a stacked bullpen, which, I mean,
their pitching staff's good, competitive now.
Yeah.
You know, very competitive, the pitching staff.
Yeah, if they stay healthy, which, you know, Tanaka's, you always get the feeling like his arm is held together with string.
I think they're going to get off to a real good start, and I think they're going to, right from the beginning, they're going to put pressure on the Red Sox. I mean, you know my thinking. You know, I said the Red Sox last year when everybody was saying that I said the Red Sox are better than the Yankees. They're a better team. They're going to win it out.
Well, the Yankees did a lot more to improve their team.
Right. But now the Yankees are better than the Red Sox.
Oh, absolutely, I agree with that. And you know, even they got the LeMahieu guy at second base. They have young players who are presumably going to get better. They got the other shortstop. What did they get?
Tulowitzki.
Tulowitzki.
They're covered all over the place, and Gregorius is going to be out half the season.
Right.
I'm glad they didn't get Machado. He would have ruined that team.
Did you see the little kid online? He's talking about we don't need Machado, and he's talking about anybody but Machado.
But that's what I'm looking at right now. If there are no injuries between the Red Sox and Yankees, I think the Yankees right now have to be favored.
I think the player to watch for the Red Sox to overachieve this year is Devers. I think he's on the upswing. He's probably a young guy who is going to be taken under the Martinez wing and become part of that program. I think he's going to hit 25, 30 home runs this year.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. I mean, he's dangerous. He's got the power for sure.
And the guy I expect to do nothing is Pedroia. I don't think he's going to be healthy. I don't think he is healthy. I don't think he's going to stay healthy.
Well, he's my favorite Red Sox player.
I know, but he's hurt.
He's always been next to Jeter, he's my favorite player throughout the years of the way. Tough player, still great defensively. There's no better defensive player than him in baseball. By far, you can even put Bradley in center field and tell me how great Bradley is. But at second base, Pedroia is the best defensive player in all of baseball. He's been the best defensive player in all of baseball for the last 10 years. I'm just hoping he can come back. And if he's healthy, can hit 280, 290. You know, if he plays 120 games, I mean, I'd love to see that. I mean, because he's that type of player you got to root for.
Even if he plays 100 games, it would be a moral victory. You know, I think the player that would be nice to see do something offensively is Leon, because he's really good defensive catcher. But
good guy too.
Offensively, he's.
But how about 2 years ago?
He must
have
been
hitting 300. Over 300.
Must have been luck.
I think at one time he was hitting 350 2 years ago.
You see these guys like Mark Belanger with a 220-something career average, who hit 280 one year, and you just say, how does that happen? George Scott, I think his rookie year, hit 301, 302, something like that. And the next year he hits 173. How do you hit 300 when you're in 173? Just it's like you never make contact.
But what's your prediction now, wins and losses, the Red Sox and Yankees? How many wins do you think the Yankees will have?
I think
in
the
Red
Yankees
Sox?
will win 97 and the Red Sox will win 92.
All right, my prediction is the Yankees win 105 and the Red Sox win 95.
All right,
And the
well,
Red Sox will still be tough in the playoffs because of the starting pitching. And they got good batters. But I think the Yankees are going to be a powerhouse this year.
well, it'll be interesting to see if they can get into the postseason again, how Betts does, because the kind of criticism he gets is he hasn't been very good in the postseason relative to his regular season performance. And obviously you play better teams in the postseason. You face better pitching, but that's true in every sport. The playoff teams are better, obviously.
But the one thing I will change for the Red Sox, if they get a real good relief pitcher, if they get a top-notch relief closer, they'll win 100 again.
I don't even know who's out there at this point. So, I mean, the Red Sox just, I mean, you can't say they're not willing to spend money. They're already one of the top payrolls. They just don't want to go over the top level of the luxury tax where I can't remember if you pay like $6 for every 10, some it's a pretty high number.
And that's what they're knocking now because some of these teams they're not too good. They're getting all that luxury money from the luxury tax.
Right.
And that's what the players are getting upset about. They're making money there, so they're not paying other players.
Right. Who wants to watch a sport where half the teams just intentionally want to lose? And, like Cleveland is trending in that direction. It's just not, and it can't be fun to be a baseball fan in a lot of these towns where the team's not really trying to win.
No, but it's going to be a battle. I mean, again, there's going to be a lot of upset fans if they don't get that closer. I'm telling you. But it's going to be fun. Houston's going to have a strong team again. Hopefully Cleveland's pretty good. But other than that, I mean, you're going to have those four teams, and who else?
Houston doesn't have Keuchel and Morton, so they have to rely on younger pitchers, and you never know. But I mean, they still have a good lineup, and Altuve will be healthy, Correa will be healthy, so their offense will be better this year.
Who's your surprise team this year in the American League? The team that has a chance to win 88 games.
Well, probably Tampa.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Tampa's got a good young team.
They do. They're a smart team. They have a terrible stadium. That's their problem. But probably be fun to go to Tampa sometime and watch a game.
Yeah.
Nice weather. Can't beat that.
I mean, of course. I think they're going to go like 88 and 74 this year.
Well, they have Kevin Cash, good manager. They have the Cy Young winner, I think, from last year. Anyway, I've enjoyed being with you tonight. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.